Hacker here, XL Prime Time in the books. There's a couple things on the recruiting trail that are very interesting to keep note of for the Florida Gators. I wanted to let you guys know about a couple of things going on. One positive, so it's not all negative, but a lot of it has been negative. If you've noticed in the last couple of weeks, really I guess the last couple of months, the 2019 Florida class, which was a top 10 class for Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators, has taken some hits. Now, they had 25 commitments initially. It was a top 10 class, according to 247sports.com, their composite rankings. But since signing day in February, the Gators have lost 4 of those 25 commitments. A couple of guys that are off the board now that will not be attending the University of Florida. The most recent one, De'Ave Hammond, a 4-star offensive lineman out of the Lakeland area. If you will remember, he was one of the trio from Lakeland that all committed to Florida on the same day. You had Hammond, you had Lloyd Summerall, so you had guys of that sort committing from Lakeland. Now Hammond, a 4-star lineman, has not been able to qualify. NCAA regulations, he did not meet that. He tweeted out basically how unfortunate it was. You could tell there was some sorrow, that he was not happy about the situation. So De'Ave Hammond, a 4-star lineman out of Lakeland this past weekend, announces he has not qualified. He will more than likely go to junior college. It's a disturbing trend for Gator fans because, like I said, he's now the 4th guy. De'Ave Hammond joins Jalen Jones. Of course, Jalen Jones, a quarterback from the Virginia area. We all remember the story about Jalen Jones. Got into some allegations of sexual assault at the University of Florida. No charges were filed, but Jalen Jones has left the University of Florida since those allegations arose. So he is part of that 2019 class that is no longer there. Of course, Chris Steele was kind of part of the Jalen Jones story, if you'll remember. Chris Steele, a 5-star corner from the West Coast. He leaves in large part, so he says, due to the Jalen Jones controversy. He is now at Southern California, back home in the Los Angeles area. And the 4th one, DeJuan Black. DeJuan Black had been committed to Dan Mullen, a linebacker, a 4-star linebacker, committed to Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. He then decommitted, then committed to Ole Miss, then decommitted, ultimately committed to Florida, was committed to the Gators for quite some time. He also was unable to qualify. So to sum it up, Gator fans, DeJuan Black, Jalen Jones, De'Ave Hammond, and Chris Steele, 4 parts of that 2019 recruiting class that finished in the top 10, according to the 24/7 composite rankings, all now no longer a part of the Gator football team. The problem you have, particularly now with Chris Steele, the word that Brian Edwards is transferring. So now all of a sudden, DBU, they still have some very good defensive backs at Florida, no question, but those are 2 guys, Chris Steele and Brian Edwards, that were counted on in that Gator secondary that are no longer there. We will see how Dan Mullen, Todd Grantham, and the Gator coaching staff react to that and what they do about it. Now, it's not all negative. Like I said, it sounds negative, but the Gators did get a positive for the 2020 recruiting class in the last couple of days. Richard Leonard, a big lineman from Cocoa, has committed to the University of Florida. 6'2", 320-pound offensive lineman, committed to the Gators over many, many offers, including an offer from Florida State, including an offer from Miami. So it's not all bad. You bring in Leonard to the fold, adding to the Gators' current top 10 standing in the 2020 class. I believe that's now commitment either 15 or 16 for Dan Mullen and the University of Florida. So they're doing very well on the recruiting trail in 2020. But again, they did very well on the recruiting trail in 2019. Now, there are a lot of guys from that 2019 class that are still going to be a part of this Gator football team. You look at a guy like Chris Bogle, the 4-star defensive end. You look at a guy like Kyer Elam, the 4-star safety. There are many guys that will make a significant impact for the Florida Gators. I mentioned Lloyd Summerall earlier. He's another guy that's expected to make a really nice impact. So it's not all lost. But it is concerning that of the 25, as we mentioned, 4 of them, DeJuan Black, Jalen Jones, Chris Steele, and now De'Ave Hammond, will no longer be a part of the Gator football program. So that's the bad news. 4 are out from the 2019 class. You're going to have 21 guys now a part of that class. Everybody has enrolled at this point. Everybody should be in at this point and getting ready to participate in drills. Keep in mind, with Florida and Miami playing on August the 24th, that moves practice up for the Gators. They will start their in-season practices, their in-season training, if you will, at the end of this month. We are only about 3 weeks away from Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators taking the field. And again, we're only about 6 weeks away or so from Florida opening the 2019 college football season at Camping World Stadium in Orlando against the Miami Hurricanes. So Gator fans, 4 are out from the 2019 class. 1 is in the 2020 class. Again, Richard Leonard, a big lineman from Cocoa, 6'2", 320 pounds. He committed to the Gators over 4th of July weekend, adding to a very strong class for Florida in 2020.